2, and here's Modi. I bet you're like writing a song in your head after hearing that. No,
It is giving. Who
It's
wrote that
giving.
song? It's great.
I didn't write the song. We bought it from some.
We
so
licensed it.
good.
We licensed it.
Yeah, it's giving like spooky surfer. Like,
I
love it. Yeah.
I always see it as more like Hasidish Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah. Oh my
that's
God, I
what I
can
see.
that I
totally
like-
see it.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
really good, actually. The woo wee is great. Yeah.
The wee-woo-wee. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the spookiest a part of it. You are a songwriter, that's for sure. We are here in the studio with Rose Belso.
Kelso.
Kelso.
Wow,
Kelso. No, the dyslexia. Waiting for my life. I saw Kel, I saw a B, and it's
Yeah,
all
because
a man.
also Brooklyn is right next to her
Right,
name.
So I saw the B's, I saw K's, and it's a.
Rose Kelso is a Brooklyn-based director, writer, and photographer. She created and hosts Comedy Central's Boomer Stoop, a musical sketch series where Rose helps boomer puppets to be less offensive.
That's it. And I could just tell you that when I see Leo going through like Twitter and going like when he's in deep in the internet and all that, and then once in a while you just see him laughing. And I go to him, what are you laughing? And he started showing me your videos. And hysterical. You are so funny.
Thank you.
And
No, first I saw you doing a live version of European Boys.
Oh, yes.
And I guess on your show that you do, like a live show.
Yeah. Right.
Well, tell everyone what that is for the listeners.
That live show was actually just a one-off. It was my friend Cam in LA was doing like an hour and a half long one-man show and then wanted me to open it up. And that was the first time I had performed that song live. And it was great.
I was dying. I made all of my friends watch it. I was like, you have to watch this in its entirety, no skips. Like, you have to get it to the end. And they all thought it was hilarious. And then you produced this like shiny, polished version of it for Comedy Central,
Right.
which was genius.
and what's the
Cute.
video about? Tell
Yeah.
them what the video is about.
So,
It's-
okay.
It's
so,
yours. It's your baby.
It's
So
yours, yeah.
basically, it's based on a true story of like having sex with a European man and then saying, what were your grandparents doing between 1939 and 1945 when the war was going on? And so this video is very much like a retribution story, I guess, of like getting back at Nazi grandparents and Nazi ancestors.
Because you're Jewish.
Yeah, I'm Jewish.
So-
And and I was showing their Nazi grandson a great time. Which I think is
You
their
certainly
nightmare.
were.
Yeah.
There were lots of toys involved.
Yeah.
I love it. I love anytime you bring things like that up. I have a lot of jokes also with the Holocaust and the war and all that. And people always say to me, I don't think you can joke about that, but I think you have to. Otherwise, people just forget it happened.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I have a joke with the Holocaust Museum in it, and people like, you shouldn't have that. I said, people don't even know there's a Holocaust happened. So if somebody just Googles Holocaust Museum just to see what that is,
Right.
it's already a good point to go from.
Yeah. I know your Holocaust Museum joke. It's a great joke.
It's a good joke.
It's a fantastic joke.
Yeah. So your musical background, how do you know to write songs?
I mean, I grew up, I was always a really musical kid. I was like a really intense violin player for a long time.
Wow.
yeah. But never liked it. And then I wanted to switch to piano. And when I started playing piano, I was always very like into Tom Lear and Weird Al and all that. And I was
Oh.
trying to make those silly little songs growing up. You know, like the first one I ever wrote was about like beans and like I was so stupid. But that's like just always how I've kind of been, I guess.
We have a friend that's Karen Pishko. She writes song parodies too, and her name is Karen, and she left New York because of what happened with the name Karen. And she wrote a song about
She
being
moved back to London because she
Yeah.
was so over it.
And she had a song, I used to like my name. I used to really like my name.
Yeah, okay.
No.
And she's just like, now it's like,
That
she-
went viral for a second.
yeah, it had its
Sad.
moment. And it's, so I saw a few of the videos, but they all have that like Broadway-esque, like, kind of like, Sweeney Todd.
Oh.
And then you go into the Jewishy, you know.
Right.
It's such a talent. I'm
It's such a
obsessed.
talent, yeah.
No, but I also originally saw you on TikTok where you weren't doing any of that stuff, and I didn't know really who you were. I thought you were just a girl in New York, like screaming about like construction happening outside your window, and then you do this laugh that you do that is like maniacal,
Right.
and then that always just gets me. It's so funny.
Oh my god, amazing. So funny.
I was like, you need to have a one-woman show on Broadway immediately.
Oh my god.
That
I'm
was like
honored.
when I mean, for sure, it's happening.
Oh my god, thank you. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be so
So how did you
fun.
start working at Comedy Central, or like what did you do before that? What were you?
Well, before that, so I graduated from college
Where?
in NYU.
Okay.
So I'm really on a pipeline. but graduated from NYU in 2019, and I at that point I had been interning at SNL, and which was rough, and then worked as a cargo van driver for them, which was crazy.
Oh.
I was terrible at that job. I was crashing that van.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, that
Fucking
is
day.
so funny.
So bad.
what were you transporting? Like set pieces?
props,
Oh
yeah.
my
Oh,
God.
props. No, I was thinking of driving Alec Baldwin back and forth to the.
He's dead now.
Could you imagine? I'm like, yeah, I was crashing that every day.
Wait, how did you even get cleared to like for that position? That seems like a
You don't.
particular skill, right?
Yeah, they were like, you drive? And I was like, kinda.
On a set like SNL, on any set, everybody assumes that everybody can do everything.
yeah.
It's just assumed. Like, we need sandwiches. Okay, you start making sandwiches.
Yeah.
We need this move there and there. Do you they don't ask, do you have a driver's license? Do you have a class 5? Do you drive a van? No, like, drive that. And
That's
people-
showbiz, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
it's
For
just
real.
show. Yeah.
And you have to be like, yes. Like
Yes.
you were like, sure, I'll drive a
Absolutely.
van.
Yeah, because at that point you're like, oh my god, I want a job in this industry.
Yeah.
I don't care what you make me do. I will be a footrest. I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and then I had seen a posting for like a Comedy Central job, and they hired me as an associate producer in like January 2020,
Okay.
and then COVID hit.
Oh
Wow.
my.
Yeah, and that was actually, I mean, the tragedy of the pandemic stands, but it ended up
But
being
not
really
really.
fruitful.
Yes.
It was pretty
But
good. Because COVID hit in March, and then all of a sudden we were like, how are we gonna do production? Like, I got hired to do the producing for the digital team, where all of the sketches were like produced in real life, you know,
Yeah,
filmed
yeah.
and produced and everything. And so at that point they didn't have any writers or talent, and I was like, okay, I will write songs and we can put them up.
Wow.
So I just wrote
Genius.
stuff and sent it to my bosses, and I was like, what do you think about this?
Wow.
And the first song I wrote for them was about like a guy jerking off in the parking lot outside my window, and that was the only thing keeping me sane during the pandemic. And then that ended up doing pretty well, so that's what helped. Yeah.
That's
was that
amazing.
true? Was there really a guy?
No, it was
Okay.
just me. I
Yeah.
had
It was me
I
jerking
dressed
off in the
up.
park.
And
Oh
then
my God.
Yeah. And so like I literally had my mom film it from the window.
No.
Yeah, it's
Rose,
crazy.
that
yeah.
is genius.
That is
Thank
so
you.
great. I love hearing stories about people who the pandemic helped them. It was like
Yeah.
they needed the pandemic to get to the next level and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's great. It helped
did.
me. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. How did it help you?
We were doing characters in the apartment. The Near character, the Yoily character, the two characters I have, and that was all pandemic-y. And then cameos came out of that. I made like $50,000 in cameos
Ooh.
that year. Yeah, and just from those characters
Yeah.
at home.
Right.
Pandemic.
In your living room.
In the living room, yeah.
Right.
It's just insane. But I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah.
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 Where do you first of all, you're Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
Fully Jewish? You were telling us there was
Yeah, a little
Something snuck in.
something snuck in. No, my dad is like an Irish Catholic goy who never converted, but my mom is
Pointing
looking
in.
at you. Uh-oh.
I don't know where they were during 1945.
they were looking for potatoes. What were
Yeah,
they doing
they
during the
were-
war?
yeah.
And it's not your grandparents, it's your great grandparents.
Right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you're Irish? You're Irish?
My mom was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland,
Oh my god.
and my dad was born in Barcelona.
Chic.
Wow. Yeah, that's so.
And your mom is
cosmopolitan.
from where?
My mom's from Miami Beach.
There you go.
Oh.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
makes up. That negates. Miami Beach negates the father being Catholic.
Yeah,
completely.
yeah, yeah.
She's so
Completely overdoes
Jewish.
it. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And you grew up in Miami. The mother's Jewish. And
Yeah.
No,
I
Rose
grew up
give
in
us
Long
a little.
Island.
You grew up in Miami. Then you moved
No,
here.
no, no. She grew
No,
up
no,
in
no.
Long Island.
Fully born and raised. Sorry.
Oh.
just gotta look
Her
Long
mom
Island.
grew up in Miami, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So then they moved to Long Island,
Yeah.
and that's when you did you go to what school did you go to?
We were like a public school.
Which one?
Ward Melville High School.
Melville.
You
Oh my
know?
God. Of course I know Long Island.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Melville.
Yeah. Well, it was in Stony Brook, but it was called
Right.
Ward Melville.
Yeah.
So like different from Melville, New York. I don't know.
What were you like in high school? Were you like a theater kid, or were you like quiet? And it took.
No.
Were you always this?
I was
funny?
always loud and like.
Did you get a superlative? You got-
I did.
What was it?
The funniest. Yeah.
Good.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
Except there was like kind of a weird high school reunion we had by accident. It was just like everyone, all these townies that I went to school with showed up at the same bar. Oh my God, did I sound like a fucking elitist when I said that?
I love when people call people from a neighborhood townies.
Yeah.
It's so.
You're allowed to be
it's
an elitist.
So,
Yeah.
You're allowed to say
Like
that.
these fucking townies. I
Go for it. Yeah.
grew
From
up
that
with.
shithole.
Yeah. I'm such an asshole.
We went.
now.
I went to a sleepaway camp, Camp Scatico, and there was so imagine it's in Elizaville, New York. It's like upstate 2.5 hours, and all the Jewish kids were in this camp, and then around it were like people who lived there all year round, and we used to call them townies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like as if to look down at them, but it was so. What a chutzpah to call somebody that. You know? They could be billionaires living on some acreage. I have no idea. But
Nah,
go ahead.
if you're
Okay.
going to the local bar, you're a townie.
You
That's
are,
the
yes.
qualification.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what you are.
Yeah.
And but long story short, we I run into all these people I went to high school with who I haven't seen in like 6 years or
Yeah.
whatever. And one kid comes up to me and he goes, "Oh yeah, you were like in high school." And I was like, "What the fuck does that mean?"
What does
Like,
mean?
yeah, I had no idea what it meant, but I took it so personally, and I was like, go, walk it off. But yeah, I thought it was cool, and then I got that.
Well, you were
Like,
right.
ooh.
You were
I-
right.
I can't imagine
I promise you
ever
it's-
going to a high school reunion.
Cooler than. This was
finished
an
that-
accidental one.
It was an accidental one.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
you
was.
weren't planned. They
No.
were just there.
Yeah, it was just like everyone happened to be home for
Right.
Thanksgiving, and
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Thank,
But
thank God my high school did not plan any sort of reunion.
yeah.
They planned one year and they got in touch with me. I'm like, what? Are you insane? And there's people in my high
I'd
school
rather
who,
be
who are still
euthanized.
there. We grew up in the 5 towns, and I turned 18 and left.
yeah,
Period. I was like, that was fun.
Done.
Next, Manhattan, went to college, and then Manhattan, and then never ever thought of living there. And there's people who went to college, moved back, they married people and they're still in the neighborhood, and their kids are in the school. It's like,
Yeah. So
if
you
that
knew
makes you
immediately.
happy, yeah, I
You
knew
immediately.
right away. There's
I knew
never-
immediately too. The
Where-
second I grew up in Queens, the second I realized I was in Queens, I was like, I have to like, how am I going to get out of here?
Right.
And when I
Yeah.
was 7 to 18, I left and I never went back.
Where did you go?
I went to Arizona for college,
Oh my
and then I moved to LA.
I mean, yeah. If you know, it's not for you. But so now the Jewishness in your music, where does that come from?
Judaism. Period.
like-
yeah.
It's like like I said, it starts off like Broadway-ish and then goes into your Haftorah,
Yeah.
right? Na 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 na, right?
Oh my God. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. You're bringing me back.
Mhm,
That's
mhm.
the shofar call.
The show.
I'm like,
That's amazing.
but yeah, literally, it comes from.
Do you
that.
remember your Haftorah?
It started. Vayar balag benzipor a kol asher asa Yisrael Emery, and then I don't remember anything else.
Wow.
But that is stuck in my head until I die.
Yeah, every
Yeah.
kid that doesn't, you probably don't know how to read Hebrew, right?
I know the letters.
Right,
And
but
like
to
some of the
read.
vowel- yeah.
So everybody, all kids who don't know how to read Hebrew, they learn it as a song.
Yes. Yeah.
So when they sing their Haftorah, they know it as a song, and if they make a mistake in the middle, it throws the whole thing off.
Because they can't read
Right,
it.
because they don't know where they ended and where they
Right.
and looking at they're pretending to look at the thing and they've things written out all over like a E-C, and this is a B, not a B, a bet, not a, it's so
Yes.
funny.
I
Yeah.
can't wait to read my Haftorah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna
waiting.
get a bar mitzvah.
We need a bar mitzvah. That's
I
important.
always tell whenever I see a bar mitzvah kid who's learning it that way, I go, if you make a mistake, make it strong and let them think they don't know what you're saying. you know.
That's just for life in general.
in general. Make your
Just
mistake
walk
proudly. Don't go. You go. Baha the yatsi, even if it's yatsi. Just say it so they think they're wrong. Okay, that's my haftorah.
Was it always Jewish for you, or did you sort of like find your way into that?
It was always Jewish for me, but then I had to find my way back to like accepting it as a part of who I, because you probably know, like, well, I guess, is Woodmere Jewish?
Yes.
It is? Okay. So everyone who I've ever mentioned that I grew up in Long Island to, they're always like, oh, that's a super Jewish area. And I'm like, no.
Not where you're from.
Not
no.
where I'm from. Yeah, I'm in the fucking boonies. It is Stony Brook, even though there's like a university there and it feels like a pretty diverse area, it is so waspy evangelical.
Wow.
Like, no matter where people come from, most people are going to the same evangelical church, and if they're not going to that, they're going to the Catholic church, which I didn't know growing up. There's like a big difference. Like, you can't call
We've discussed this on the
you
podcast.
can't call Catholics Christians, and you can't they're different.
Depends who you're asking.
Yeah.
If you're asking an evangelical, Catholics are not Christians. If you're
Yeah.
asking a Catholic, they are Christians, just like subset Catholic.
If
That
you're asking
blew
a
my
Jew,
mind.
It's goyim.
Yeah, period.
It's just we don't even.
I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not like.
you're all praying
yeah.
to the same guy.
Yeah,
Like, I don't.
and when goyim talk about it, they don't say, he's Ashkenazi, Reform, conservative. Then when he no, Jews.
Right.
And we
Yeah,
say
I
goyim.
still don't. I can't keep up with like reform, conservative.
Yeah, you don't need to. The good thing is you don't need to.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So, what are some of the issues that you guys tackle on Boomer Stew?
Boomer Stoop. Well, so Boomer Stoop is a show I created specifically for like any boomer in my life, like my parents.
Do you find you have to explain a lot of things?
I
to them?
do.
Okay.
And my parents are very progressive, liberal people, but they're like Gen Z, I feel like just kind of fucking passed everyone on the highway in this really fast way that's like kind of brutal. So, just because like older people will be confused, and it's like fair confusion, but now it's so polarized that we
Yeah.
have like people
Yeah.
really mad. And so bless you. And so
Bless you.
the
I would have sneezed all over the mic. What's the next person to?
That was the weakest sneeze I've ever seen in my life.
I
Yeah,
was
how'd you
trying
hold
to
that in?
suppress it. I
I
was
would've
trying.
just
You
tried-
guys just like ruined the whole thing. I tried to.
Yeah.
No,
All
it
right.
was so stoic. I like really.
Okay, so
appreciate you
continue.
guys. So the issues that we'll talk about are like pronouns, and like
Right.
there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
song called "This Is Why Your Kid Won't Shut the Fuck Up About Socialism" and like things like that. There are 10 episodes. One's about like why you need therapy and things like that.
What's your favorite one that you did?
Probably the one I just mentioned, which is it's called the trauma song.
Oh, we have
yeah.
a lot to unpack there.
What's the trauma song about?
The trauma song is literally, so it all starts with, there's this pretty main puppet in the show called Keith, and he's very like, I don't your generation's so weak, and fuck you're so sensitive. And so the trauma song is like, your father left when
How
you were
hard he laughs. It's so funny.
That voice, it's that voice is
That's so funny. It like comes out of me so naturally that I'm like, what are we laughing about? Like,
How old is Keith?
Keith is like, I say he was born in 59, so
Okay.
he's like 60.
Oh, 59, so
three,
60, yeah.
Okay,
Something
go,
like that,
go
yeah.
on. I'm so into hearing this.
Okay, but so Keith, that whole episode starts with him saying how sensitive the generation is, and he's like, our generation turned out fine, and we didn't need therapy, and da 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 da. And then the song kind of unpacks like, oh, maybe you really do need therapy because like you're just pushing all of this stuff down, and like you take it out on people on the golf course, and like that's how you reckon with like your
so
trauma.
genius.
That's
And-
so funny.
Because that generation grew up with an obscene amount of trauma,
Of
and they
course.
say that to us all the time. My generation, they're like, we grew up and it was so hard, and we're fine. And I'm like, I don't think you're fucking
Yeah, you're not
I
fine.
completely
Yeah,
agree.
you're just you were told to like
shove
not
it down,
talk about it. Yeah.
not acknowledge it.
So
Well, Gary Gulman
Yeah.
has a brilliant special that really unpacks that, the Great Depression,
Right, the
where
Great
he
Depression,
talks
right.
about being clinically depressed and suicidal even, and the things that they used to do in school in the 70s, like just like knock your head into like a water fountain. Were just considered like, just like the teacher
Boys
would,
being boys.
Yeah, totally.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Today
Yeah.
it's bullying, and there's all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
Well, as somebody who grew up not from 1960s, a little later on, I don't know. I don't feel like. Well, I definitely have problems with my pronouns, but Leo fixes it.
No, you're pretty good.
I'm pretty good, but
it just sometimes.
no, you fix it. But
Yeah.
and I'm not saying it out of meanness. I'm
Yeah.
just I don't know the right way to say it.
Mhm.
But I think it's individually. Not everybody had traumatic growing up.
But you're pretty evolved too. I don't think you're like a great example.
And I also think there's something to be said for you guys growing up in like the metropolitan New York area, on the East Coast.
Okay.
Like, you
specifically New York.
like I just think the whole idea of like if you had grown up in I don't know Utah like and not New York, I think you'd just be exposed to much less things. I don't know.
I don't know if that's right. I just think you have to, whatever your parents did, as long as you realize that they were doing the best they could. And
Were they?
yeah, yeah, they didn't know
I
better.
don't know.
Look, I'm looking at my friends who are parents, and when they make mistakes and all that, and it's just you do the best you can, and don't blame them. It's you're where
Yeah.
you are because of where you need to be.
Right,
And
But that's even an evolved position
Right.
to take.
so I understand. So if somebody who wants to blame their parents for everything wrong in their lives because of then you need therapy.
Right.
or some
that's-
type of
hence-
spirituality or some type of spirituality to get you to the right place.
Well, what were you gonna say?
Go ahead.
Well, so wait, are you saying this is your position on therapy? If you don't understand your parents, that just give me a log line. Or are you saying
I
in
think
general?
I found my therapy in spirituality,
Right.
instead of sitting on a couch with a which is
With a
just my thing. I tried three times to do therapy, and it was awful.
Really?
Yeah.
Awful. One time I was just looking at her, and I couldn't believe how she decorated the office. I was just sitting there.
Right, that-
I said,
no,
"This is
no.
the most horrible," and this, and then she's like, "And where are you from?" I go, "Where are you from?" She goes, "That's not how it works. It's only about where you're from."
Oh,
I'm like,
God.
"Ugh."
Right.
And then just not. But no, I just it's. I think spirituality is where I find my therapy.
That's
Not
great.
yeah.
That's
If sitting on a couch with a guy, a girl, a guy, a therapist,
Them. Are they? them.
with a they, enjoy that.
Yeah.
They should enjoy that. I didn't enjoy that. If anything, it makes me anxious.
yeah.
So, yeah,
That
so-
makes
So
sense. That makes sense.
that therapist sounds awful.
I had 3 different ones.
Okay,
All
but
of them
there
I didn't like.
three could be awful.
One of them said to me, "I don't think you need therapy."
Oh, I would have had great.
I had
Bye.
a 2-hour initial session with this guy who was a thing. He's like, I had to drive. I go all the way to the Upper West Side in a basement. He was a real an MD, PhD, the whole 9 yards. And for 2 hours we sat, and I opened up everything. And he says, "I don't think you're fine. You're fine. You
That's
don't.
crazy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah."
a little gaslight.
It was.
For a
It
therapist,
wasn't
I think.
gaslight, and a friend of mine sent me there and said, "This guy's amazing. You have to go." And I gave it out, and he's like, I think you're fine."
So, have any of these skits sparked conversations with your parents that
yeah.
you've learned things about them, or were they inspired by your parents? Or
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, big
It's like,
time.
what
both.
are the main things that you think that they've learned or you've learned from them?
Ooh, that they've learned or that I've learned from them. I mean, you kind of learn how. Trying to think of a good answer here. I feel like people are open to learning about these issues because I think people get tired of like I don't understand why I'm not lining up with the youth and like everyone is complaining about this shit and it's driving me crazy and I'm getting in trouble all the time. And you have to sort of find a nice way to like explain
Gentle.
these things without undermining the fact that they've lived for like 3 times your lifetime. And like they actually do know
It's
a thing
very
or
wise.
two. Yeah, exactly.
That's
So
really nice.
it's thanks.
and it comes easier from a puppet.
It comes so much, and that's Sesame Street. I mean, like
Yeah,
the whole thing
yeah,
was
yeah.
based
Did
on
you
Sesame
watch
Street.
the documentary about Sesame Street?
No,
It's-
I got to.
Incredible.
Oh my god.
It's called Finding Sesame or something.
And what was the takeaway?
It was about how they really get into the genesis of how Sesame Street came to be, which was really interesting, and then why they weren't going to use puppets originally, but they found that people connected when they did these
Yeah.
like market focus group tests with kids, that they focused so much more on the puppets than the human actors. So eventually they started like combining the two. But it was also very radical because, you know, they had like a black puppet and like they had black characters, and like they go into like how Sesame Street was like banned in Mississippi for
Oh,
a long
wow.
time because it displayed like interracial neighborhoods
Oh god.
and like how political the whole thing was, and
Yeah.
how
So Mississippi.
they really like gave kids a lot of the like verbal tools to express their feelings, and like it was really pivotal moment for like public TV. And anyway, the power of puppets is like it's a real thing, and
Yeah.
it like kind
It's
of
also
really
the title of this episode.
The power of puppets.
I love that.
yeah, it just becomes a vessel for the message.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It makes it feel because I think it feels a little less preachy when it's a puppet. Like
Mhm.
if there's
Yeah.
a person doing it, then
Mhm.
it's like, oh, you're better than me. But if it's a puppet, it's
Yeah.
like,
It's a puppet.
yay.
Yeah.
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 What's your next thing? What's your
This is a great question. I mean, so I'm still working at Comedy Central,
Right.
and I love it.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of like on this thing right now of they like book me to make music videos for. we'll do like a thing called UTI week, which is under the influencer is.
urinary tract infection week?
Yeah, that's why they were like, this is funny. And so we'll like work with an influencer for a week and do a bunch of sketches, and I usually will write like one big music video for them, and that's what we keep.
That sounds hard because I don't feel like a lot of influencers are funny.
Oh, yeah.
But did you have to find the funny
I
ones?
Yes.
actually think a lot of influencers are funny.
Oh my God, so
Interesting.
many of them are so dead behind the eyes when you meet them.
Okay.
I mean, are you kidding me?
It depends.
That sounds intimidating to me to be like, here's an influencer, like just make them funny. Like
Right.
that's not always the
They're
case.
like, I just unbox.
yeah, you're like, this
Baby
is my
clothes.
outfit of the day.
Oh no, I'm talking about like the guests we've had that are influencers. They're pretty funny. I mean, okay.
I was pleasantly surprised by some of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I do vet everyone very carefully.
Yes, you
Yeah,
do.
except this one's just snuck in. She's-
Yeah. I'm about to do an unboxing. Yeah.
There's a puppet in the box.
Yeah.
Oh my God, next guest, can we interview a puppet? Can you bring Keith
Oh
here
my
and
God,
you can just be
absolutely.
under the
Oh
table?
my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, so finish. So you love working at Comedy Central and you're doing UTI.
Yeah, UTI. And so I mean, like I don't know what's next.
Okay,
Which
I'm
is
just-
so
I thought
no,
there
it's a
was
great
it's
question.
not
Your,
what-
No,
your
no, no.
Broadway show.
Yeah, maybe it's a one-woman show.
Oh my God,
I mean,
I will
I'm
help
just
you
like,
produce it.
I will
whatever
too.
you
Oh my
need.
God.
I'll drive the
Okay,
cargo
love it.
van.
I'll play the rabbi.
God
Done.
bless. Baruch Hashem. But yeah, I think that I'm definitely, I feel like I'm living in the present right now, which is very good. Hoping that like not everything falls apart in my life. You know, when like things are good and then you're like, oh, okay, everything feels really nice, but then the fear is that it's
What?
not gonna last.
No,
you know
wow.
that I'm such a that's a Jew
That's
thing of
not
me.
a Jew thing.
Yeah.
It's your thing, but you should get that out of your head.
You don't
Just
think
be in
that's a Jewish
appreciation of what
thing?
you have. Be
It is a
complete,
Jewish
constantly
thing. Yeah.
gratitude for what you have,
Right.
and look for the best. And
No, I think
and
a lot of people struggle with that. They're always waiting for
Right.
like the other shoe to drop.
Monkeypox is right around the corner.
Can you-
That's going to take me down, man. I
no,
know it.
don't
I
think
know
like
it.
that. What's your sign?
Cancer.
Ooh, there you go. So that's
you a
what-
Capricorn?
No,
Sagittarius.
Taurus.
Fuck.
But no, you have to think positive and just think of helping other people. Just think whatever you're doing is to help other people, and then it'll all.
Yeah, you're providing so much
Right.
Yeah,
laughter,
laughter.
and light.
It's a
Yeah.
mitzvah.
See, this is my therapy. This is
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. This is to just think positive, and it's hard sometimes, and
Do you find I ask a lot of people this on the podcast that you have a large audience online, and do you struggle with some of the people write nasty things to you? Like, how do you balance, this is my work and I produce this content, and while also not like obsessing over it and like who's commenting on it and who's sharing it? Like,
Yeah.
because when you release your creative baby into the world,
Mm-hmm.
it's like scary.
Yeah. Well,
So-
that's actually a great question. It's hard to stay grounded because, like, especially in the beginning, I was like reading every single comment, and there are times that I still do that because I in one part,
No, you
it's
want to
like-
know. I mean,
Yeah, it's like morbid curiosity of like who's seeing the worst things in me that I only see in myself, and like, is it confirmed? And also, like, I am like praying that I'm not getting canceled or something. Like, I'm trying to make sure that no one's like,
Right,
this
right.
is offensive or something like that. But I'll be honest, a lot of the times, if I just see a nasty comment on one of my things, I delete and block.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yes, that's
yeah.
that's what
Same.
they
I'm
get
big
for
on
being a
that, yeah.
bitch
Same,
online.
same.
Yeah.
If someone does that on one of your videos, I'm like, bye.
Right.
I'll do. Yeah, I'm not gonna respond and
If
get
it's like
into
borderline,
No.
I'm like, okay, you can have an opinion. But if someone's just like, you're a dumb Jew and this is bad,
Yeah.
like, I'm like,
yeah,
no one
where's
needs to
that
see
gonna go?
this.
You're not gonna
Yeah,
change
yeah.
their minds, and sometimes you let people fight with them alone, and then
Yeah,
then
sometimes if they
That's
get,
always
yeah.
fun when that happens.
Yeah.
let them
Bring
talk.
in my people.
Let
Yeah.
them talk amongst themselves.
Did you get any pushback from the European boy video?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
really?
What
What'd they say?
Well, one person called me a kike, which was
Nice.
it was like baby's first kike. Yeah, like I was so
First kike.
Wow.
No one's ever called me a kike.
Wow.
really.
No one.
You gotta
that
try
you know
it. It's-
about?
Yeah.
No one that you know about.
Oh, I mean, no one. I meant in messages and DMs and things like that.
Yeah.
But okay, so they called you a kike.
yeah, which is honestly like I think that's funny as hell because that for a slur, like I think calling me like a dirty Jew or like just being like Jew with like a tone
Right.
is so much more effective than like this goofy little word.
Yeah.
right.
Did you get were Jewish people offended by the European boy video?
Okay, so this was actually crazy. Online, I
Just
felt
so
like
people
no.
know what we're talking about, she's talking about people who, the grandchildren or great grandchildren of people who were.
I'll
living
link
in
the
Europe.
video. I'll
Right.
link the video.
Yeah, but
here.
just so they, in case they don't go to link the video, but
Yeah.
she's talking about kids whose grandparents lived in Europe during. What were they doing?
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right.
basically.
Basically. Okay.
Yeah. So Jews will online. I've mostly gotten a really positive response from Jewish people, and then. Do you know Temple Emmanuel?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the biggest reform temple I think in the world is
right.
what they called it.
Massive.
And on Friday, they're doing this new thing called like Friday Night Hub, where they're trying to bring young people back to the temple.
Uh-huh.
So they had me come
Oh boy.
and then do the song.
No.
And at this like ornate temple. It felt like fucking Notre Dame
Right.
for Jews. I was like, oh my God, this feels wrong. And actually at first the rabbi was like, no, the song's too raunchy. Like we're just going to do like a 92nd Street wide type interview with Ariel
Right.
Kaplan had done it. And I'm on the subway there and I got this influx of emails that were like, the rabbi changed his mind. Like you're
Oh
going
my
to do this song. You're gonna do this song. So now I'm like, okay,
Good for them.
Good for them.
yeah, I was happy they did it. And
You're like, I have to go home and get my strap on.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm like,
Watch
just
the video.
wait.
Watch the video.
Yeah, watch the video.
Okay.
And so I show up, I do the song. It
What,
all
like
seems-
keyboard on your back, like what?
No,
You
they
just
had a
like-
piano
Oh,
there.
they have a
Yeah,
piano.
okay.
They have
piano there.
whatever you
I'm
need.
sure
there.
they do.
It's all right
huge.
there.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so I do the song, and then afterwards there's like a little reception in the basement that felt very much like a sock hop. Like it was just like young mingle, and everyone was very nice, but this one guy these two people tap me on the shoulder, and I turn around, and they're like our age, my age, whatever, maybe 30s, and I am smiling because I think they're gonna say something nice, like an idiot, and
what they say.
and I go, hi, and the girlfriend goes, oh no, I'm just gonna watch what's about to happen, and I was like, oh
shit.
what, am I gonna get knifed? Like, what's about to happen? And her boyfriend goes, I'm Arnold, and I was like, oh Jesus, I'm not an Arnold, and Arnold says, do you want to hear a suggestion for your song? And like in my head, I'm like, fucking no. Like, I'm not going to change anything.
Go
but
ahead.
sure, Arnold,
Yeah, let me
absolutely
see
go
how you-
ahead.
how
And
you
he
got
was
this.
like, well, I just think it's really shallow, and like you should have had him fall in love. And I was like, I'm not going to fall in love with a Nazi kid. Like, I don't think that's a good thing. And then he was trying to tell me that like pegging was homophobic, and this is a straight man.
Oh, wow.
And I was also
People are gonna have to Google what pegging is. But keep going.
and he
Yes.
was
That's
saying it was a homophobic thing to do,
Oh,
and I was
God.
like, I don't think you know what pegging is.
I
You're
don't
like,
think you know-
Arnold.
I don't know if he knows what comedy is.
yeah, that
It was
too.
done in the spirit
Pegging,
of comedy.
puppets, and
Yeah.
we
Oh
didn't know
my
the P
God.
word.
And I was just like, did you understand that like he asked me to do it in the music video? That's what happens, is that's the whole thing, is like we're having like crazy kinky sex, and that's what's killing his grandparents. So that was the one negative thing.
Okay.
And-
Arnold, if you are listening,
Yeah, chill
pull it
out.
together.
in front of his girlfriend too. I was like, this poor girl, like she's
No,
probably never.
I know the type. It's not.
You know
is-
Arnold?
no, but I know Arnolds, and they need to tell you what they usually
Yeah.
start with. I don't know if you want to hear my, which
It's
means
so
I'm about to
annoying.
give you my opinion, and then they give it to you and whatever. And I have a whole thing in my act to combat that before I get off stage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I say to them, now I do a bit and about Hitler and Goebbels in a Shabbos elevator. You know what that is, no? It's an elevator that stops on every floor during the
Oh,
Sabbath.
yes.
Yeah. So, and then afterwards I go, now you have what to complain about. Those of you who didn't like to, and those of you who do complain, it's because of you. Mashiach isn't coming.
Yeah.
The Messiah is not coming because you're complaining about comedy.
Yeah.
If you're complaining about comedy, you're the one that's preventing the Messiah from coming.
That is so.
And then they still come over.
Yeah.
Once in a while they go, I still think you shouldn't use that type
No, my
of,
favorite recently was when you did your Hatzalah bit, and someone came up to you and said you shouldn't make fun of Hatzalah. They do amazing work.
Hatzalah is the Jewish ambulance stuff.
right,
So you thought she had that?
No, I was about to.
So I do a whole bit about it, and I literally the bit begins with the reason the Jews survived all these years is because of Hatzalah, because the fact that we always help each other.
Yeah.
And it's the most
True.
amazing organization in the world. And then I make fun of them. I make fun of the drivers, and to the point where Mark, I'm not going to list his last name, the head of Hatzalah in Staten Island, when they get together, he does my act for them. I imitate
Does your
them how they
bit. They
walk
love
around.
it.
He's like, and he calls, I did your bit in front of everybody, and
so
it's
cute.
and this woman comes over. You shouldn't make fun of Hatzalah. You shouldn't make fun of them.
Right.
And as if like I would say, you're absolutely right. I'm gonna take that piece of amazing genius material out of my act.
It's just whenever people feel the need to like,
Yeah.
that you
shut
just
up.
like processed a piece of like art,
Right.
and because it didn't all the way resonate with you, you're like, this needs to be changed.
It's
You're like,
also
Yeah,
something
yeah,
clicks in their
that's very
head.
much that.
Here's where I can speak to him about something. Like, oh, now I have an in to speak to him about whatever. Anyway,
well, it sounded like you handled it well.
it did, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But they,
It's I at one point I don't know how long, this is way back in, I was still at Maryland, so I was friends in our group. We had a friend who was from Germany, and he was, now keep in mind this is in the 90s, so a lot younger, and it was literally his grandparents. I remember one time sitting with him and saying, where were your grandparents during the war? And he told me my father's family were policemen in Germany. So they went right into the army and
Right.
the SS and all that stuff. and his mother's family were aristocrats, and they didn't have to serve or do anything. They just were rich people in Germany.
Yeah.
And I said, "How do you feel about that?" He goes, "I have nothing to do with it. I wasn't there. I don't know what they went through. I don't know what they. I'm not proud of it, but it's
sins of the father.
I didn't drag it out of him. Like, why didn't you tell him? What am I going to do with him? It's just, but yeah.
No, it's fascinating how common of a story that is
Yes.
with European people. Because that you realize that so many Europeans can trace their lineage back to centuries. People who are from, I had dated an Italian guy, also a Norwegian guy, but it was different.
At the same time.
Stamp in the past. But the Italian guy, his family went all the way back to the Romans. And I was like, that's a lot of fucking history that you guys survived. So and they're not Jewish. So I don't know.
I remember one time we were with, it wasn't him, it was his friend, the same guy, also German background, the whole thing. And he had this pinky ring with the little crest on it. And one of our friends asked him, "What is that?" He goes, "That's our family crest. Lets us know where our ancestry is at." Yeah. And then
crest is a red flag.
He should have just left it there. He goes, "Don't you have something like that?"
Like, I have it.
No, so
Yellow.
I said to him, he goes, "How do you remember your?" I said, "Well, my grandma has a tattoo on her forearm to remind her all the time what her ancestry is," and it got a little dark. But yeah,
that's our crest.
Got a little
Yeah,
dark.
the yellow stars.
Exactly.
So funny. Yeah.
Wait, let me ask you a question.
Good.
You like that?
Yes, good.
Okay, so I always ask the guests, "Who's your rabbi?"
Who's my rabbi?
Not like your temple rabbi, but like who do you go to for advice about things? Yeah, do you even have that?
What a good question. My
Yeah.
therapist,
Your
Jen.
therapist. Okay, good.
That's a
good.
good
Not bad.
answer.
Good.
But okay, I feel like I have another one that might be better.
No, that's a great answer.
Okay.
You can
good.
have
I
more than
mean,
one. You can have
A
your
work rabbi,
a work
or
rabbi,
a
a spiritual rabbi, a
Oh.
dress rabbi, and it could be a guy or girl. It's a guru of some sort.
I think Bette Midler is my rabbi as
Wow.
well. Yeah, big time.
You
Yeah.
do you know her? Do you speak to her?
No, not personally. Just in like reading her Wikipedia page. I'm like, bitch, what should I do, Rabbi? And then it says,
She would
in
love you.
1965. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So,
amazing.
I love her. Yeah,
Great.
So.
And where can everyone find you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
About
I
what
mean,
you're doing?
on the social platforms, you can find me like right into the camera. My username, I go by Long Island Dirt with an underscore because it was already taken.
Long Island Dirt.
Yeah, Long Island Dirt.
It was already taken.
Yeah.
It's just-
I was so
Long Island
pissed
Dirt
off.
underscore.
Yeah.
Why Long Island Dirt?
I think it rolls off the tongue and kind of like explains my whole vibe,
Okay.
if you will. But yeah, Instagram, TikTok, working for Comedy Central, so
That's
stuff
so
goes up
amazing.
there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And what about
I'm at
you?
Periel Ashenbrand on Instagram.
Okay, Modi_live and ModiLive.com for shows. By the time this airs, LA's over, so it will be. There's a
some
show
shows.
in
July.
in Ohio.
Yep.
And the shows and some new shows popped up for New York. So go to ModiLive.com, see when there's a show near you. Cameos. I'm on. Are you on Cameo?
No.
You
Oh
should
my
be on
God,
Cameo.
your character should definitely be on Cameo
Really?
and charge a lot and write songs for people. It's the
Holy
best.
shit.
Cameo.com/Modi and maybe next time by you. Oh my God, can I refer you? And then I get
Yeah,
yes.
refer me. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God, you'd kill it on Cameo. And that's it. Thank you all for listening
Thank
and
you.
all the best. Bye.
Bye.